Under the scope. So, hey, Scope fans. Another edition of the Under the Scope movie review. Mm-hmm. This time around, we do the directed, produced, starred, written, A Million Ways to Die in the West, Seth MacFarlane's opus. So, this is an interesting film, Jared. It is a period piece.
It is.
Takes place in the Old West, 1882,
1882, Arizona.
And
Old Stump, Arizona.
And it is, it's definitely modeled on the classic Western movies that our parents probably enjoyed. I did not enjoy them because I don't like Westerns. But here's the kicker, Jared.
There's a kicker.
This movie has at least a couple of characters that are very self-aware.
They are.
Of how bad it is, and it's almost like they plucked Jared and me and from modern days and put us into the A Million Ways to Die in the West world.
How so?
Well, just because they were very modern. And Seth MacFarlane was a very modern character.
They're commenting on both their own situation and sort of on our own current times.
Yeah, so it was sort of a interesting, different take on a film. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about who else starred in this.
There was Seth MacFarlane. No.
He played every character.
Amanda, is it Seyfried? I don't know how to pronounce her name. Amanda Seyfried, Neil Patrick Harris, Charlize Theron, Giovanna Ribisi, Sarah Silverman. I think those are the main people.
Principal Belding from Saved by the Bell had a big role. A number of cameos.
A lot of cameos in the background. A lot of one-liners from people you will probably recognize and maybe not recognize because of the heavy makeup. But keep your eyes peeled. There are definitely famous people in this film that you will recognize,
and a few people who do voices on Family Guy pop up as well as supporting characters. So it's the story of
Albert Stark.
You're very good at the names.
Great grandfather of Tony Stark. Right.
It all ties in. Captain America, the pre-first Avenger.
So Albert is a bit of he's a guy who tries to avoid conflict. He doesn't want to die. He's recognized that there are a million ways you can die in the West.
He's a schlub.
He's not a man of action or conviction. He's just trying to make his sheep farm work.
Yeah. And keep his girlfriend happy. That's the other thing he likes to do. Played by Amanda Seyfried.
So she's in a gunfight early on, and he decides to talk his way out of it, and not,
He's a pussy.
He's a bit of a pussy, and so his girlfriend, what was her name? Isabel? I don't know. She doesn't like this because he's not a man. He's not taking action. So she says, "I'm out of here." And she ends up shacking up with Neil Patrick Harris's mustachioed man.
Yes.
Foyle.
There's your A plot.
He runs the mustache shop in town because who doesn't have a mustache?
Mustaches equals power and wealth. That's our A plot. The B plot is
you've got the local or regional badass. What's his name? Played by Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson is good in everything he does, doesn't he?
He does a good job.
Yeah,
but he's
like starch, or not. It's something weird like that. No, strap,
clinch leather wood or something. I don't know. Something manly. He runs a gang that is robbing and thieving around town, and they decide they're gonna.
Do some serious robbing.
At some point, they're going to do some robbing, and he sends his wife off with one of his henchmen. I don't know if it was actually her brother or if he was just masquerading.
I think it was just a masquerade.
Sure, but they're going to head off to. They're going to lay low in Old Stump for 12 days. He doesn't want
her to be hurt.
So at this point, they, obviously, and his wife is Anna, played by Charlize Theron. She's going to end up meeting up with Albert, who is, and they become friends.
She's going to teach him how to be a bit more of a man in a way, but
she's also going to maybe like him for who he is.
She likes his quirky, self-aware sensibility that nobody else in the Old West seems to have.
Funny.
Yeah.
People aren't aware that everyone's dying around them.
Yeah,
getting crushed by ice,
they're having a good time.
Impaled by bulls and
so long story short,
yes.
They start as friends. They maybe turn into more than that. And at the end of the day, Seth MacFarlane is going to have to grow up. Maybe not grow up, but he's going to have to defend himself.
He's going to have to find a way to
save the day.
To sort of be the man that he was meant to be, and deal with situations as they come.
And
in his own way.
And the fun never stops.
Everything comes from that.
So there we go. That is the plot. Let's talk about this movie.
Yes.
Really, this is a really tough movie to pigeonhole. I mean, you can't put it in a box. I mean, it's
a little bit all over the place when it comes to the style of the humor, because you have a lot of physical comedy. You have a lot of toilet comedy.
Yes.
You've got a lot of gross out stuff in general. You've got a lot of F-bombs. But you've also got some subtle kind of one-off liners that if you're not paying attention, you might miss. And I think a lot of those lines the audience missed that you and I were chuckling at. And yes, we're better than the audience. Sorry, guys.
I think with a better audience, you might have seen more guffaws or heard more guffaws.
They definitely caught all the broad humor.
Yeah. But that being said, just in terms of what this movie is, having sort of this modern-day sensibility within a period movie and not doing some sort of time travel or something to justify that. I mean, it just is what it is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's an accepted part of what it is.
You either go with that or you find it distracting. And for the most part, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I think for me, it took a while for the movie to get rolling.
I agree.
I mean, not just the tone at the beginning, because I mean, I think we're both sophisticated enough to understand what Seth MacFarlane was trying to do. But for me, it didn't really kind of kick into high gear until Charlize Theron popped into the scene.
I agree 100%.
She is so good in this movie. I mean, beyond being radiant, and she is radiant.
That's a good word.
I mean, and the movie itself just shot her in a way that was so appealing.
Yeah, and her hair is glowing, and her skin is perfect, and
But the fact of the rapport that she had with Seth MacFarlane, and just the scenes that they had felt so natural, almost like it was ad-libbed, and there may have been scenes that we saw that just were, sort of off script, and they went with it and they kept it in the movie. And if it wasn't, it felt so natural that it worked. So even though there's probably no chance in hell that she would be with a guy like that, in that day, they made that work. So it's one of those things where the absurdness is overcome by the fact that they have such a good chemistry.
I agree.
And it was fun seeing what they did on screen.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The film doesn't really find its footing until she shows up. There's the first scene where he has his gun battle was like when he's kind of delivering his little monologue about trying to talk it out like adults and come to a compromise, and I'm just like,
it was sort of flat.
I'm not sure if I'm feeling this, and it's not that funny, and I'm like, is the whole film going to be this way? I don't think I'm going to like this.
And they feature Giovanni Ribisi and Sarah Silverman as kind of his friends, and she is his friend's girlfriend who's also a whore. Yeah. But she won't have sex with her boyfriend. It's a whole thing. And it wasn't working, even though they're really funny. But as the movie found its footing, it started to work a little bit later.
And there was a whole routine where he's talking about, they're really trying to hammer home at the beginning that there are a lot of ways you can die. And he's kind of going through what almost felt like a stand-up routine. Yeah. How do we die in the West? At the bar table. And I'm like, wow, this really... Yeah. I don't know. This isn't hitting, and then eventually it finds its way, and it's
entertaining overall.
Yeah,
after that. So, I don't even really know what to say beyond that. I think that if you've seen the trailer, you're going to get a good feeling for it.
I mean, if you really want to cut it down, there's a lot of characters who are one-dimensional, and they are there to serve their purpose. Yeah. And there's no real hint of any significant life or backstory to these characters. But hey, what do you want? It's a comedy. Yeah. We're there to focus on our lead characters, and the other people are just there. They kind of flit in and out as needed. Yeah. So.
And beyond the weakness of the beginning part of the movie, I do have to circle back with what you said about tone.
Yes.
I mean, the tone is really all over the place, where sometimes it's hyper violent or hyper gross. I mean, like, are they going to go there? And like, oh yeah, they go there. And then they push a little bit further, which, I mean, this movie in a lot of ways is like an episode of Family Guy in the sense that there are really fun moments and really hilarious moments, and there are other parts that just fall flat. The idea with Seth MacFarlane has never been a guy that is just concerned about quality.
He's going to throw a lot at you.
It's quantity, and he's hoping that 75% of the jokes are going to make your belly laugh. Yeah. And then the rest of them, you understand that they're jokes, but they're not really all that funny all the time. And that they sort of have that movie, and if you couple that with the sort of confused tone, that's the only real nitpick I would have.
I think if you're not a fan of the Seth MacFarlane style of comedy, maybe this is when you set out. I don't know. I don't think it's not as directly Seth MacFarlane as Ted was a couple years back. I think it's a little bit more accessible to a general audience, but just be aware that it's going to have his stamp on it.
I do like the fact that he didn't do a Peter Griffin voice like he did in Ted. That was one of my biggest complaints of that movie. Is that that it was like, oh, now you're watching Peter Griffin the Teddy Bear. Where in this one you get Seth MacFarlane who's playing Peter Brady.
Yep.
It's another Peter, but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
But yeah, the guy is clearly talented.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a freaking phoenix of Hollywood. The fact that he was nothing and then he's turned it into...
He's making out with Charlize Theron on screen. I mean, for crying out loud.
This is his...
Not that that's a bar of
But this
status,
is his movie.
But, yeah.
He wrote it. He directed it. He produced it. He starred in it. I mean, he wrote the music. I mean, the guy is a quadruple threat.
He produces Cosmos, for crying out loud.
I mean, this guy is
Why aren't you watching that?
So good for you. So I think we should give this a score so you can go to Target in the next 15 minutes before it closes.
The Scope score is 2 3/4 stars.
So 2 3/4. That's
Another
actually
2 3/4 film.
That's a better score than I thought it was going to get after the first 15 minutes of the film.
Keep in mind, we rate on a 0 to 4 stars, so you're well above average here.
It's another good comedic film for the summer. So good for them, Seth MacFarlane. Great job.
It's a good time.
So if you like our reviews and you like us and you like the Scope, like this video,
like, comment, and subscribe.
Do it. That's it. Like, comment, subscribe, Scope. That's it.
He said it.
So for Jared, I am Shane. Screw Adam. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with more movie reviews, and they won't be instant. Somewhere in the near future.
Bye now.
Ladies and gentlemen, we find ourselves once again at the end. I hope you've enjoyed our time together. I know I have. Fear not, Scope faithful. Days shall pass as if they were but a moment, and Jared, Adam, and Shane will return with another thrilling episode. Until then, send your comments to comments@thescopeshow.com or leave a voicemail message by dialing
612-21-SCOPE. That's 612-217-2673.
Thanks for listening, faithful fans. This is Tony Partington saying arrivederci. Tune in next time to another terrific edition of The Scope.